Hi there and welcome to Dukascopy TV. Today I'm joined by Ivetta Gerasimchuk, Senior Researcher at IISD, looking at their Arctic initiative. So welcome Ivetta.
Hello.
Well, first things first, why are you working on the Arctic?
It's very simple, because our future, the future of our economy, the future of our society is in the Arctic. And I'm Russian. For me it's a pleasure to say also that I think Russia got this understanding of the connection between the future and the Arctic earlier and maybe in a more profound way than other nations. And for me, for instance, as a kid, it was always fascinating to watch cartoons about the midnight sun and the northern lights, and read stories about the Russian pole explorers, and of course also stories by Jack London about Alaska. So other countries are now catching up with this magic, with the understanding of the importance of the Arctic for the future. But of course, quite a lot has changed since the times of Jack London.
So what has changed and what is the future for the Arctic?
First of all, of course, there is climate change, and it is happening in the Arctic twice as fast as in the rest of the world. So we have some analysis and graphics here from the NASA which show that the Arctic ice cap has lost 40% since 1980. And by the middle of this century, scientists are predicting that there will be no ice in summer in the Arctic. So of course it's a dramatic change. It's putting pressure on ecosystems. It results in biodiversity loss, and it also poses a threat to the food security of indigenous communities. But there is also another factor, which is interest in the Arctic natural resources. We hear a lot about Arctic oil and gas, which can be commercial at the high level of oil prices. But it's not only that. Arctic also has renewable energy resources, it has fresh water, it has minerals, it has land. And we are going to be lacking all these things because of the climate change and because of the population growth. We will have many regions in the world which will experience droughts, which will generally experience hotter climate and demand for all the resources which Arctic is holding.
So you say there's loads of resources there. There also seems to be a growing interest in the Arctic from Asia. Can you explain a little bit more about this?
Yeah, this is right. In 2013, China, India, South Korea, Japan, and Singapore joined the Arctic Council. And the Arctic Council is an intergovernmental organization which unites the countries around the North Pole. And the motivation of the Asian countries is the same as we started talking. The future is in the Arctic. They understand this. They understand the geopolitical, military, and strategic importance of the Arctic, but also the need for shipping routes, the need for Arctic resources, fresh water, and they became the new kids on the Arctic bloc.
So given the scale of the transformations that you have mentioned, can we develop economic activities in the Arctic without destroying the environment?
When people talk about the Arctic, usually they think about polar bears. So maybe, Shade, you are thinking about the polar bear right now. But actually, to answer your question, we have to imagine a different animal, which is a frog, because we need to leapfrog the unsustainable development, the mistakes that people have made in other parts of the globe for the Arctic to develop sustainably. And luckily, we do have examples of this leapfrogging. We have them both in the Arctic and in other parts of the globe, and we can bring them together. For instance, in the Arctic, indigenous communities and generally people who live and work there have enormous constructive experience of adaptation, be it adaptation to extreme weather conditions or to moving from igloos to the internet in just one generation. It's a dramatic change and also a constructive change. In the other parts of the globe, we have experiences of green public-private partnerships, of environmental safeguards, of economic and social policies that support sustainable development. And we also have experience of renewable energy, so we don't have just to depend on the Arctic for oil and gas. We can also depend on its hydropower and develop its wind and geothermal resources. So this is what my institute is doing. IISD is the International Institute for Sustainable Development. We bring together the stories of leapfrogging, of successes from the Arctic to the rest of the world and from the world to the Arctic. We work together with other non-governmental and research organizations. We work with governments. We work with the Arctic Council. We work with businesses, with indigenous communities, so that together we can make the future of the Arctic, and it means also our future, more sustainable.
There's definitely a lot of interesting developments happening in the Arctic. Thank you so much for your insight today, Ivetta.
It's a pleasure.
Well, that's all from us here at Dukascopy TV. Thanks for tuning in, and remember to keep clicking back. Bye for now.